our society as a whole? How can we um, spread knowledge and wisdom, I think, and understanding, so that we maintain uh, at least a desire in a society to learn and go out there and to seek truth rather than accept that which is repeated continuously and loudly. That seems to be what people grab onto. Um, I've seen that build over actually the last 50 years of my life. Uh, it started in the 60s, early 70s, I think, when it became, at least in my life, that's the period it started in when, um, I guess it's kind of the stand up, speak out thing. It reminds me of the person that jumps on a soapbox in Hyde Park and gives a speech. That gets up there and no matter what it is, and the crowds got larger in our society, and they became more. Um, I think they became lazy in a way. I don't know if that's the right word, but they started to accept these things and develop some kind of a comfort for it, whether it was really true or if it was some wild idea. And in this idea that, I think in one of your previous podcasts, one of the people brought out the idea that, they people were looking for something to grab onto and gave them a reason to be alive or a reason to live. And so we end up with these fragmented uh, conditions within a society. Uh, we've seen great examples of that lately, and uh, I know myself, and it troubles me. And I want to do things, and that our network, the network is a very powerful concept. I struggle with the idea of, and I know you've discussed it and it's been discussed within the network, how big can we get? How many people can we get involved and still be as effective as it is, so that we have this free and open transfer of ideas, the ability to criticize each other with respect and to discuss it and discuss our differences and understand why we are different, uh, and sit back when we get through with what some of our sessions and really analyze what a wonderful thing is that we have differences, that we don't have the monotony of acceptance and confirmation of one ideal.
I agree with that so deeply. And when the Articulate Ventures Network got started, and we were just kind of like, well, what will be the value of this place that's different than just having a Facebook group or some other medium where we can all get together? And the thing that emerged that I really didn't understand people would value as much as everybody does, including myself, is real feedback. I think we've moved into a place in society where conflict is to be avoided except for by the most extreme people, the ones that are willing to fight and scream, kind of repeat the same mantras that you were talking about. And because everybody else that's not on those poles doesn't want to have that level of conflict, we then get into a cycle where you need conflict in order that you have feedback that tells you, hey, the thing that you're doing, it could be improved. It could have some of the edges rubbed off, or maybe you need to reset the whole frame. But because we're so conflict averse in our PC society that people are wandering around and they go days, weeks, months, maybe even years without anybody really listening to them, because if you can't give somebody feedback, you generally don't listen to them.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, the network has exceeded my highest expectations, and I see nothing but good to come in the future. We all seem to be expanding it, testing the limits that we have on week to week. that they're not stationary, they're not stagnant, they're moving. We are, as a group and as individuals, are not afraid to explore outside of what has been accepted last week. That maybe we can push it a little farther this week, and and see what happens. So far, we haven't, at least I haven't experienced any real adversity. I don't think, I haven't noticed that anyone, I don't know if adversity even enters into this network, Vance. You know what I'm saying? That concept of adversity? I don't think so.
When you think back in your life about the feedback that you were given that had the most impact on you, who were the people that were saying things that hurt initially, but actually they were right?
The primary ones were family members. They were the alpha males of the group. They were older, German heritage, strong-jawed, intense individuals. But for some reason, they also exhibited the qualities of compassion, caring, and love. And when you combine those with the intensity and the demanding nature of expecting nothing but the best from the person that you're teaching, and to encourage them to explore the cosmos, so to speak, and to let them know that you will be there if they are exploring and they get into an area where they discover that they are fearful or feel insecure, and push, but still hold the safety net behind them, so that they become more and more and more productive and more educated. And the only thing that I know that created in something that I still have, and when I analyze my own virtues, or virtues that I live by and so forth, is trust. The trust that I was taught or learned or acquired, I'm not sure how it all came about, but that has been the one thing that has caused me more discontent and more disappointment, in that I had too much trust in people.
Whoa. I did not expect you to say that. That is super interesting. What do you mean by that?
Well, getting into business deals by trusting people that I had been in contact with for a period of years prior to getting into a business arrangement with them, and to my own fault, not making sure that I separated that relationship in making business deals and having legal agreements and documents and everything to cover everything that may, could, should, or did happen. And it burnt me hard. But what bothers me today is I didn't learn the first time. I didn't learn the second time. And I have this feeling now that I might do it again, because it's not something I seem to be able to recognize and control.
Meaning that you find what people say to be sincere on its face, and you take it for what it's worth, and you haven't been able to transcend it? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
It's really interesting that you're talking about this, because one of the things that my brother impressed on me was that when you start a business arrangement with somebody, one of the most important things is not how will we separate the money that we make, but how will we ultimately separate ourselves when we decide we're not happy with this? And that has been one of those things. It's a little bit like going to your fiance and being like, I want a prenup, right? And in marriage, it's a different thing, right? You don't want an exit plan. But with a business partner, that's what makes it different than a marriage, is that you can establish an exit path. And for me, that's been one of those activities that I've done regularly, but always been reluctant to do it. But it's just been a matter of wisdom that somebody else gave me that I execute.
You know, I totally agree with it. You know, that what Ben said, you know, that that's what was needed. How to exit, how to dissolve something that had been created. You know, and truthfully, I can say I don't have enough confidence in myself to right now to say that I wouldn't do it again. I think it's highly unlikely, you know, that I would, but you know, I some of the things that have happened have been a little bit shocking in the last 15 months of my life, but you know, and I'll say probably because I was involved in so many family businesses and trusted family members in other ways, and actually in business or transactions, that although I trusted family as a young person and growing up and created and developed some of my basic values and qualities that I have today, there are family members that are probably the least trustworthy of anyone you'll ever come in contact with.
Thanks for checking out this podcast short. If you like this interview, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and hit that bell so you always get notified about this podcast. And if you're really interested in conversations like this, you may want to consider joining the Articulate Ventures Network. To find out more, go to network.articulate.ventures.